Hello, welcome back to Aether. This is Satomi and Paul from Sakasu.ca. So, welcome back, you guys. And then today's Aether, episode 83. What does it take to heal? So, on the screen it says Awaken within a dream. So, what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. But I'll just start with questions and comments. As always, you're welcome. So please join the conversation here. It's always a pleasure when someone joins in and we can focus in on some of the things that you're working on yourself directly.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I'd like to start here because what do we mean by awakening within the dream, right? So what does that mean? Ask this question of yourself: is the world a threatening place? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a wonderful, supportive place full of love and opportunity, or is it a threatening place?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going to be honest, for most people, it's normal to consider it a threatening place.
It's like doesn't have to be 100% threatening. You can include somewhat
Sure.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then if it's sometimes or up to some degree, yes, if you have yes somewhere, then that's this episode is for you, right? It's if you are feeling no, I don't think it's threatening at all. No, well, this is what it is, and now we can live safely and happily no matter what, right? Then you can just enjoy watching this episode, and you can maybe send us your perspective how you can stay that way.
Yeah, how you
right?
maintain that place, the perspective of love, right? And enjoying life to a very high degree, right? So, so this is also coming from where I've come from, which is, there's been trauma and all that kind of thing. And I've had PTSD that I've been working through, and it's gone through stages and stages and stages, right? And I've never really, I don't know if I've said it here that I'm healed from it. Maybe I've said that, but it's a relative term, right? Because it has all these stages to it, right? So I mean, I don't know if it's truly, it's not truly PTSD anymore, and what I'm going to talk about today, because it wasn't like being triggered and then again an exaggerated response and that kind of thing, but there is a general anxiety. Right.
So you're rephrasing what you said in the past.
Yeah.
You said you healed from PTSD,
Yeah.
and you say now you said, maybe that wasn't 100% correct.
Well, I think the PTSD, yes, I think yes, but a general anxiety, I think, is still a residual, right? So it's a different thing, because I'm not going crazy with it. I'm able to manage things, and what I mean by going crazy is, I don't lose my temper, and I don't have panic attacks. Really, like let me phrase that in how it happens. They present themselves, those panic attacks, but I'm able, as we talked about in I think it was the last episode, we talked about how I was able to manage and work through it, right? So like the car accident, right? So in a sense, there was a panic attack there momentarily, right? Because there was trauma involved, but I was able to work that out, right? And it's not like a regular occurrence thing that happens all the time to me. And it does take more of an extraordinary event, right? So when they happen, I am able to work through them. And they've happened since, right? So it's this the opportunities are there, right, in life to have those kind of situations, but how you respond to them is different, right? If you're able to work through this and apply the stuff that we were talking about in previous episode to actually deal with it in a healthy way. So, all that being said, to me, what I just went through recently is that actually went through this bit of discovery because I all of a sudden realized, oh my God, I'm still seeing the world as a threatening place, right? And it's funny because I did it because and I got to that point because I was using power plants. I was using marijuana, which I do occasionally, and it's about using it in a way that is for the purpose of gaining perspective. So it's in a shamanic way. It's not a recreational thing for me. So there's that, and so it was enlightening to me to realize, oh my God, I'm looking at it that way, and I don't need to, right? I can shift from that perspective. So because we're not meant to live that way, honestly, right? We're meant to enjoy our lives. So doing that, by seeing the world as a threatening place, I was thinking about, the world economy, right? I think everybody can relate to that these days. Everybody's worried about the economy and how it could crash. And what does that mean? How are we going to survive, right? What does that mean for democracy and freedom and all this kind of stuff? Then there's so many other things that are coming along with it these days that people are concerned about. You see in the news that your neighbor is some kind of threat, right? Whether that's on the right side or the left side or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. You're still being cast from. If you listen to the media or the government's way of handling things, it's all like those guys are the problem, right? And they could be a threat, right? So that's a very divisive way of looking at the world, and it has catastrophe written all over it. So people are worried about that, right? They're worried about so many things these days, and there's plenty of just normal life stuff to worry about, right? How are your kids going to be okay, and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but one of the biggest things is the world economy, right? And that's been bothering me, and I just it's been kind of weighing on me, and I'm seeing it as a threat. So I'm seeing the world as a threatening place.
Yeah, if you start to see the world as a threatening place, you're in a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It just keeps going and going, and everything let's say world economy, and everything is more expensive. Everything, so you're paying more, while your income is not increasing, right? That's happening to pretty much everybody, right? So you are spending more, and the housing prices going up. Maybe it kind of stopped, but it has been going up like crazy. So your mortgage is going up, or anything, or your rent went up, and all the expenses is more and more and more, while you are having the same income for years, right?
Yeah,
if you're
inflation,
lucky,
right? Yeah. Inflation's been crazy, right?
Yeah, and then you start worrying about if we don't have balanced income and expenses, and you can start worrying about what's going to happen if this keeps going, right? We're gonna run out of money, right? And we're gonna make debts and more, and what's gonna happen to the kids, and what's gonna happen to us when we're gonna able to retire, and medication and those kind of things. It's going to be expensive, and how are we going to afford those? It's just, there's no end once we start seeing the world as a threatening place. It's like you can just keep going forever, on and on and on and on, right? So that's a trap that for us, it's once you're in the trap, it's hard for us to get out, right? So we want to be aware, and we want to make a shift, right? So I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, absolutely, yes. And the number one thing is that awareness, right? It's so easy to think of the way that we are as normal, and to not notice that we've been under kind of a cloud.
So you
right?
mean where we are, how we are is normal means that us seeing the world as a threatening place.
Yes.
That's normal.
Well, it's not meant to be, but that's
but
what
we
happens
think that
way
that's
too often.
normal.
It's so easy for us to think of that way of being as normal.
Yeah, because
That
of course
worry.
I worry about this,
Yeah.
because right, of course, right?
Yeah.
And then it's the tricky part is lots of us things, if we're not worried about, and then we cannot fix the issue. Because we are worried, we might be able to fix the issue.
Yeah, but this
right?
one, it doesn't work, right?
And not just this one. I don't think any worries fix anything.
Yes.
So,
right.
but we think
That's
being worried.
Our psychology,
Yeah.
with our psychology, we tend to think that if we worry about it,
Mhm.
we can do something about it. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that.
So some part of us encouraging to worry more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
Yeah, because when you see the world as a threat, it's you don't feel like you have any control. It's disempowering. And so what you're saying is that worry, it tells you this is how you get control, right? Is by worrying about it. And that's how you can gain control, because you know you don't have it, right? You feel like, oh no, the world economy could crash, right? So if you worry about it, your psychology is telling you that's how you can gain control back, but really it's a lie. That's how fear, it's just one of the many ways that fear lies to us, right? Fear says, I'm keeping you safe. I'm here to protect you because I'm aware and keeping an eye on the ball, right? But actually, you don't need that's a different kind of awareness than what you really want. That kind of awareness paints everything dark and out of your control and dangerous and in a negative light, right? So, and just like we're saying here as well, it's not normal. It's easy to think of it as normal. It's fear, though. That's what's going on, and it creeps in. And that's the thing about this, about like the trauma and the PTSD and everything like that I've been through. It's so unbelievably sneaky. Fear is the most sneaky thing there is, because it gets into the background, just like we're talking about here. It's like you're saying, like a cloud, right? It's like a cloud slowly, a haze maybe going over the sky and making the sun go dimmer and dimmer very slowly, and you never notice, right? And like over years, it's getting more and more hazy, and the sun never really comes through clearly anymore, right? And you just think of it as normal. And that's what this is like. Is it can creep up on you, and before you know it, you are, and that's the point, is before you know it, before we're aware of it, we are in kind of entrapping ourselves in this perspective that's based on fear, on powerlessness, and so that's what I got here. Yeah, so it's incredibly subtle. It's not easy to be aware of our most fundamental reference frame, and that's what we're talking about here, right? Kind of like a haze over the sun, right? If it comes in so slowly, and that's the biggest reference frame we generally have, going outside, looking at the sky. If we if we go out at night, and you probably notice this one, eventually we do notice that over the years, as you've grown up, you see fewer and fewer stars at night, right? Because of all the light pollution. It slowly creeps up, and it's kind of the opposite of what we're talking about here. Instead of less light from the sun, now it's too much light from below, and now we don't see the stars coming through. So anyway, it's very slow, and it creeps up on you, and you don't really notice. And then when you go out to camping, right, out into the wilderness, and there's not many city lights around at all, and you look out in the sky at night, it's like, oh my God, it's so unbelievable. There's the Milky Way, just so brilliant and bright and prominent, right? Whereas when you're in the city, not really, right? You don't even see the Milky Way barely, if at all, right? So that's what we're talking about here, is your reference frame can shift slowly and unnoticeably if you're getting enough negative messaging over time. And what are we hearing about so much? It's like the economy could crash, right? And then you're worried, and you're like, what are you going to do? And you're thinking, and the thing is, we are not able to actually make a change on this one personally ourselves. You could just say, then why worry about it, right? And just get on with life. That's just one practical thing that we can do, and just just hey, snap out of it, right? But that it can be not so easy to make that full shift and keep it. Like maybe you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can do that, but to really embody that and to make that your new normal is to not worry about it, not be under that cloud. It can be much. There can be much more to it. There can be all kinds of subconscious limitations that are coming into it. There can be if there is a tendency towards being affected by past trauma, for example. If you've had trauma in your life, it's not easy to let go of these kinds of things and just snap out of it and be good from there on, right? And just carry on with life. So that you can have those. You can still be. In a sense, you can still be partly in that trauma. Part of you is still in that trauma. That's a very, very real aspect of that experience. Or there can be other things that can come into it, like, you can disempower yourself in so many different ways, like not believe in yourself, not love yourself, not see that, not have a belief that life is meant to be enjoyed in the first place. That, if you just say that, if we believe that, life sucks and then you die, and I've known people like that, if that's your belief, then no, you're not going to be able to shift in any easy way into a more, into a lighter way of looking at life, right? So the thing is, this is such a big deal right here. It's that we're dreaming all the time, not just when we sleep. We're constantly dreaming. The difference between day and night is, and the dreaming part is a fundamental aspect of human nature. When the difference between day and night is that when we dream at night, we don't have any external reference frame. So the dream world is free to be more fluid. Let me put it that way. And you experience that in your dream, to shift from one completely different dream to another all over the place. Whereas in your waking day, there is an external reality out here of some kind, right? There's stuff, right? I can touch you, right? And I get some feedback, and you're consistently there, right? You don't just shift into something else all of a sudden, or just disappear, right? You're here. So that we have this external reference frame, but during that daytime, that doesn't stop us from dreaming, because we perceive people and experiences all around us in a very specific way. We can have a very positive view of someone and then look at everything that they do in a positive light. And so we're dreaming with a certain character in a certain way with involving that person.
So like a dreaming, because we all have our perspective, and that is part of a dream.
Yeah.
Everybody see one thing, but they all perceive different way.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's everybody, because everybody is dreaming different dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that. I just want to ask, so what does it take to heal, right? So we're talking about healing, right? So can you make a connection to healing, or I'm just
for sure, yeah.
Patient, you're talking about world economy, and it's just okay. I thought we were talking about.
Well, I think
healing.
the dreaming part deserves a good focus, but I can shift gears to kind of bring it tied in for sure. So, for at least momentarily. So for myself, right? You've noticed lately that I've been, it's been a little rough for me, right? I haven't been able to think very clearly to some degree. And my energy is a little bit lower. And my body has a little more muscles, aches and pains in it, and that kind of stuff, right? So I've been dealing with that in different ways, just taking an Epsom salt bath or something like that kind of thing, meditating and all those things. But I'm affected somehow. Things are not ideal, right? They're not normal for me. But then I had that insight that I was looking at things and the world from a survival mode perspective, right? And then I was like, okay, I can shift this. So I did. And I've done enough subconscious shift work and previous healing in order to open the opportunity for me to simply shift it. But I still need to apply the energy and the attention to it and the focus and stay on it, right? And when this other stuff comes up, like the worrying about the world economy, when that comes up, and you're like, okay, that's gonna be what it is, and we'll adapt and we'll work with it, right? If there's some kind of crash, right, that life will go on, right? There's going to be a way to deal with that situation, just like there's been a way to deal with everything else that's come up, like the car accident and so many other things in our life, right? So I've decided to shift out of that. And you describe it. How have I been lately for the last little bit?
Last little bit, I'm just watching.
Just watching?
Yeah,
watching. I've been less thick-headed. I can think more clearly. I don't think I'm in as much body aches and pains. And
it's
sleeping better and.
Maybe because you're snoring, so I cannot sleep. But anyway, so you thought you were in a better space, and that's why you weren't aware, right? And then
previously,
before this last couple days, that you realized, right? But before that day, you thought you were doing pretty good, and you were being aware, and then everything was you doing great job, staying aware. That blinds you, right? And then you even you're having some issues, physical issues, mental issue, emotional issue. you cannot make connection because you thought you were doing great. And then, but something happened and you just realized, hey, actually, I wasn't aware. Now I see that I'm still looking at the world as a threatening place. And then you are able to make a shift, make the shift because you've done so many shift work before, and you kept climbing up one step at a time, and then so you know how to shift when you are in that space. But the most important thing is being aware, right? That like you can say you're professional, right? Because you've done so much work, and then we are working with clients, um, and so they can be aware, more aware, and so they can connect to their own power and healing power. So we do that all the time, work with clients. So you are professional, but still you get blinded.
Yeah,
And-
I'm just like anybody else, right? I don't ever pretend to be different from other people. Like, I'm a person.
Yeah, and then you are having physical issues because of this, the thing, like looking at the world as a threatening place. And that creates issue in physically. And then mentally, you said your foggy brain, right? And pains and stuff, it's all connected.
Yeah, pain in my neck as well.
Yeah, so looking at the world as a threatening place, you might think it's normal because it's happening right now, and of course you worry about it, but the worry creates more issue you don't need in your life, right? That's why we are picking up this. We're talking about this topic, and let's let go of those things that we don't need. We have enough challenges right now. We don't have to create more challenges for ourselves by worrying and looking at the world as a threatening place. It doesn't help, right? So yeah. So just making a connection here. We're still talking about healing, not just the world economic, what's going to happen, and perspective. And no.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's true that everything that can bring you closer to your authentic self will also create healing, right? So that's also part of this. But thank you for bringing that forward, because we do want to tie it to something more tangible and real, right? So this is just us keeping it real, I guess. So yeah, it's been easier the last while.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say radical change yet, but it's been easier, and so it's lifting, I would say, rather than completely shifted.
Okay.
So yeah. So, but what I was saying about dreaming all the time, I'm not sure where I can take it from here now. But what's so important about this is that, like, well, yeah, I know what I was thinking of saying, is like, it's well understood that, you have a number of different eyewitnesses all see the same thing, like maybe some crime, right? Happening on the street, and then they all have different stories, right? Quite remarkably different stories. They notice some things but not others, and they distort that perception through their own perspective. And that's what we're talking about here, is that they, one person, they see it, and they see it from the woman's point of view, maybe there was a purse snatching or something on the street, right? And they see it from her point of view, and another person sees it from Maybe they see it from a judging young people. Maybe it's a young woman who had her purse snatched or something. It's like being very judgmental against young people. They're not aware, and that kind of thing. Or maybe they see it from a racial kind of thing or something, right? Or maybe they see it from that person's she might be a kind of like a new age kind of hippie or something, right? That kind of thing, and look at it that way and judge them that way. So, like, in other words, the judgments that we have about people are tremendously revealing about our dream that we're having all the time.
So that the judgment is a dream. Right?
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it changes our perspective on what's going on. We see things very differently, whether we look at the world this way or we look at the world that way, right? How we perceive things. So we perceive the world as then a threatening place, even more if we see the world as a threatening place. If you follow what I'm saying, it's a feedback, right? So it can build on itself and become more and more of a entrenched perspective. And it can affect the way we see the world. Like everything we try to see is like, oh no, it's all out of control and it's all bad. So what that's doing is we'll come back to those, I think. So that what that does is it actually wastes our energy, and that's what's so important here. That's what's when you're talking about our life energy and what we do with it has everything to do with everything that Satomi and I do. It has everything to do with healing, with natural healing. It has everything to do with it. So what am I saying? If we see the world as a negative, in a negative light, as a threatening place, then what we're doing is the energy that we're being given all day long, every day. What we're doing is we're throwing it away, because we're not taking that energy and using it in a way that creates harmony, that creates healing, that creates a better way of living, a better way of expressing the joy of life, right? Because there is an enjoyment, a joie de vivre that we're naturally meant to be. That, or you could say nirvana, right? That being in nirvana, you simply enjoy being. It just you can't help it. And when we're there, then when we're coming from that perspective, we're using all the energy in the most effective way, and we're not wasting anything. We're seeing life as a beautiful unfolding, right? Things are unfolding in a way that can be used as an opportunity rather than as a threat. So when things happen, and maybe they're not what you would rationally think of as an ideal way, like, who knows? I'm not sure what example I can use, but like,
I don't know where you.
if the stock market goes down or something, right? Or there's some news about something going on that's not the greatest thing. So what does that mean? Well, that could be like, oh no, will that trigger panic attack kind of thing. And what we're saying is that that's a waste of energy, because that disempowers you. That takes away your power if you're worried about it. And that's why we're saying you're throwing that energy away, because that you're being given, because life gives us energy all the time. Whereas if you think of it as an opportunity, so okay, stock market goes down. Oh, this is a great opportunity for me to let go, right, and flow with life.
Can you do that? If you just look at your stocks and go down, oh, this opportunity?
I would say not perfectly, but pretty well. Yeah, pretty well.
Are you
Yeah.
100% aware?
100%? I don't know if I can make that claim. That's a pretty high claim.
So, yeah, it's a practice, right? It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry at the moment, but as long as you're aware that being angry doesn't help, being frustrated doesn't help, you are just being negative mode. It's, it uses energy, and uses energy is not productive way, just backwards. And then but you are using energy and wasting energy. So worrying, angry, frustrated, it just stops you from being productive, stops you from being creative, stops you from being what other things you need: creative, productive, efficient. Right? Those things, all the negative energy stops you from being that way. And so it's not just not helping you, it's holding you back.
It can take you into fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
So then when you're in fight or flight, you can't be, so you're in protection mode, you're not in healing and growth mode, right? So the time you're spending in that worry state, or you're angry, or whatever the case may be, or sad, then you are denying yourself time and energy to heal because you're in protection mode. And so, yeah, it's wasting that energy.
Yeah, and then when you're in protection mode and you are tensed up and then you're not relaxed,
Yeah.
if you're tensed, of course you're going to start creating some pain here and there. Right?
Yeah, you actually turn on genes in your body to create hormones. Those hormones, like your stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, all that stuff, they're tremendously activating in your body to tense you up, right? Shorten your breath. It puts your energy into your limbs, and it can get stuck there and not into your organs and into your brain, right? All this kind of stuff. So it has a tremendous effect on how your entire bodily function, and that can exasperate illnesses. So anything that's been there in the past,
if it's happening all the time, right? If you see the world as a threatening place every day, maybe not like 100%, but if 10% you have that every day, of 10% of every day, then 10% every day, it can be accumulated very quick, and then that time you tensed up, right? And then you are using energy, being tensed without you realizing. Of course, you're going to get tired, and then your muscle gonna overused. Of course, you're gonna have sore muscle, right? And then back pain, neck pain, headache, and then your digestion, because all the blood is going to your muscle, not going to your gut. Right? You're gonna have digestion issues.
Your gut muscles, they twist up and everything.
So yeah, it's not. So all the physical issue comes up because you might be looking at the world as a threatening place, maybe a little bit, but that little bit is sneaking in all the time.
It's so subtle. That's what
it's
it's so
like, oh my God, you don't have
and
to
sneaky.
No, I'm scared. You don't have to be that.
No. It's just like a background thing. You're not even thinking about it really. It's just sort of like a precondition that's there, right? It's not even there yet. You're not even afraid. It's just like it's something. It's like the stage has been set, right? And it's ready to go that way at the slightest provocation, right? And that's what we're talking about here is like that haze over the sun, right? Kind of thing. It's very subtle and so sneaky. But then when the right things come along, you hear some news or whatever that doesn't sound good, your mind goes there, and it goes into the worry, it goes into the stress, it goes into the possibly a panic attack or whatever, right? Or just bad, like insomnia, bad sleep, right? All that kind of stuff. So all of those things, and when you're afraid, that can turn into anger, right? That can turn into sadness. All that's what's underlying those negative emotions is always fear, is at the base. And so in all of those, and because of that, when you're in that space, it's a waste of energy. Learning to heal naturally is learning to move out of that space and into a place of abundance, into a place of healing and growth, right? That's what this all about. For my own case, it's been step by step by step. And I'm working on more and more subtle things over time, right?
Get sneakier and sneakier.
The sneakiest and of the sneaky is still under there somehow, right? Oh, it's a little bit. Oh my God, right? So
and then sometimes like worries, like we mentioned, worries tells you that you can keep worrying because having worry you can find a step to fix, right? So if you're not worried, you're not going to do anything. So you have to be worried, right? That is not true. You can take actions without worrying, right? Worry tells you a lie that you should be worried, and then you can do something, right? You can do something without doing the same thing without worrying about it, right? Let's take economy thing, like saving some, right? Not spending as much, right? That's maybe one of the things that lots of people do, right? Not going out for dinner, right? So you used to go out a couple times a month, but not doing it so much, right? So you are saving it. But those kind of things, yes, you can do it, not because you are worried, right? If you are worried, oh no, something could happen, and we have to save some money, and if that is motivating you not to go out for dinner, and then you are being controlled by worries and fear, and then your action is not authentic. It's based on fear-based action, right? So instead, you switch to we have some challenges, but we're going to be okay. For now, for future, we're going to save some money and not going out. We'll enjoy eating at home more, right? So the reason why you are not going out is not because something could happen and that we don't want that, and that's why we're not going out. Instead of that fear-based reason, you just say everything's going to be okay, but just in case I want to save some money, right? So it's more like more positive way of looking at it, and then you are empowering yourself. Things gonna be okay, but we might need some money, so let's save when we can save, right? So that's not fear-based, it's more trust and love, and everything's gonna be okay. We have the power, so empowering energy based of actions, right?
Mhm.
You might do it doing the same exact same thing, but what's motivating you? Is it fear or is it love? That makes the whole difference.
Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when another way of looking at this, we were talking about this at one point when I was working through my PTSD much years and years ago. It's like we're spinning tops. That's one way you can think of it. People as each person as a spinning top. You know, the wooden toys, right? And when you're spinning slowly, you tend to wobble, right? And any tiny little tap, and it's drop and scatter across the floor, right? But when you're spinning fast, you you can actually hit a top really quite hard, and it'll just jump over and keep spinning, right? Hit it that way, jump over, keep spinning, right? So it doesn't knock it over. So so the reason why I'm talking about that is that when you conserve your energy, it's like you're spinning your top faster. So when you're choosing to stay in a place of love and do things that are empowering, then you are increasing the speed of your top, you could say. And then when things come along, and you think a little hiccup in life comes along and taps you, you don't fall over, you just hop over and keep spinning, right? So
this one always, it's hard for me to understand. You use this example, but it's kind logically I kind of understand, but I don't feel it. So it's always, I don't know, maybe, okay, I'll just be quiet and just finally I just said it. That I don't get it.
Well, maybe it works for some people, but it's basically
It's probably
conserving energy is like speeding up your top. Is basically what I'm saying there. And it's another really important consideration here is that the law of attraction, it works all the time. It's not a positive force, it's neutral. So the place that we're in, like right now, just think about where you are, right? Close your eyes, think about what kind of place am I in? Am I in a loving place or am I in a fearful place? Kind of in between. On any of those aspects of being, and in whatever form it takes, the law of attraction is going to work on that, right? It's not reserved for that 20 minutes that you do the visualization in the day, where you're visualizing what you want, right? And using your manifestation, your ability to manifest things. You're manifesting all the time, 24 hours a day, right? That's what we do. We're creators. We're in that dream that we're in, whatever the dream is that we're dreaming. That's what we're attracting to ourselves. So if it's a resentful dream, we're going to attract more resentment. Frustrated dream, we're going to attract more frustration. If it's an angry dream, same thing. Sad, it can build on itself and become depression. If it's fear, it can get out of control to a certain point. We have panic attacks all the time. Suffer from trauma and PTSD. These on the positive side, it's exactly the same story, right? The more that we are in a place of love, we're going to attract things that create more love and harmony and healing in our lives. On the one side, we create ill health and suffering in our lives. On the other side, we create good health and harmony and enjoyment in our lives, right? So that's where we want to go, is into that place. We want to use the law of attraction to our benefit, not just by doing that 20-minute manifestation exercise. It's a full life project, full on life project, where every aspect of life is something that's worthy of the attention and time and energy it takes to shift from one into a more positive, into a place coming from love more than fear, right? So
yeah, and then if you are looking at the world as a threatening place, even just a little bit, you think it's just a little bit, but then if it's in the subconscious mind and running all the time, let's say 10%, let's pick the word 10% of the day, you have that little bit concern, right? And other time you don't feel it. But other time that fear is not there, we don't know, because actually other time you're just busy doing something, and then you are not aware of that fear that might be still there. And then you are being busy, maybe because you feel like you have to work to create more income, right? Or you have to do this, you have to do that to keep your life going, because if you stop, maybe you're not gonna have enough, right? Those kind of things. So you want to slow down, and you have to kind of look at yourself, and is the quiet voice actually it's always there, right? Because it's so quiet, and it can be always sitting there. And if you can feel just this much, it might be there all the time, because it's subconscious. Subconscious is controlling our 95% of our life. So you think it's 10%, actually it can be 95%, right? And so, and then 95% and 5% you think, no, I'm good, I'm not worried. That's might be just 5%, right? And then if 95 is actually quietly in fear, the law of attraction, what happens, right? So that's why we really want to be honest with ourselves, and face ourselves. Don't fool yourself, and face yourself. And am I acting? How am I acting? Am I acting out of love? Or am I acting out of fear? And start from there and being aware. And if you feel any kind of fear, then you can start working with it by letting go. And then the life can turn around. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's this law of attraction stuff. We're actually far more powerful than we think. So just think of it this way: if on one hand it could be true, just for the argument's sake here, that we genuinely are powerless, like we're told all our entire lives, right? The genes you're born with, that's who you are. You know, we're not good at math, we're not good at sports, you know, life just is random, you know, everything is random.
Life is not fair.
Yeah, like the whole world was, the whole universe was created from some random series of molecules knocking together, right? All this stuff, we're powerless, and it just happens. And you know, maybe we have some bad gene or something, and then we're gonna get sick and all this kind of stuff. So that's one way of looking at the world, and we're taught that our entire lives. Maybe so, just for argument's sake, maybe that's true. And then for argument's sake, what if it's the opposite? What if we're genuinely, deeply, very powerful, but we're just not aware of it?
That we are able to turn on and off the genes by ourselves. We are subconsciously turning on the negative one and turning off the positive one subconsciously, but actually we are doing it. Right?
Subconsciously, right? Obviously it's not consciously what we want to do, but it's at a different level of consciousness outside of our general awareness and ability, generally outside of our ability to affect, not always. So if we're genuinely powerful and we're not aware of it, and we've accidentally, because of us being unaware, and we've been told, no, you don't have the power, you don't have the power, we've been our whole lives actually using it against ourselves, to the point where we've taken away all our power. So we're saying, we're being told you are powerless, and then we tell ourselves we are powerless law of attraction, we're powerless. Seemingly, right? So that's the issue here is our, from everything in our life experience, from working with clients, through working with us on ourselves through our whole lives, we've been amazed at how, at the levels and levels of power that we genuinely actually have, that get unlocked as we free ourselves and move into that place coming from love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that other way that we're told all the time makes zero sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you actually, when you genuinely challenge it. So this is so hugely important for everything, right?
Yeah, and we experienced ourselves enough, and we've seen clients transforming over and over and over enough. So it's just, that's the fact, right? That we do have power, and it's not like that we give clients medication and then change them, but they
do it themselves.
They connect their own power, and they, as soon as they start to connect their own power, they start to heal themselves, right? And we've seen it enough, and it's just the truth.
All it takes
right?
is the ability to see what the actual issue is, having a tool in order to affect the situation, and then applying the tool. That's all it takes. And that's what we do with every client that we work with, right? So, yeah, so just some exercises here. Something that's so powerful is the ability to find a different perspective, get a different perspective, because of what we're talking about, that sneaky paradigm creating effect that fear has on us, that it slowly the sun gets more and more hazy with just a little more cloud, right? Gradually, week by week, month by month, right? That kind of thing. It can just sneak up on us in this most insidious ways. So how do you get out of that perspective and actually see things as they really are, right? So that's one of the most essential things. One way is to maybe just have a conversation with someone that's honest, insightful, trustworthy, really a true friend, right? Someone you can count on. Not someone who's going to tell you what you want to hear. That's not going to work. Not someone who's going to be in some way have their own agenda in the conversation. It's really going to listen to you and really and give you that feedback. That can help, right? That can work. You can take a holiday from yourself. So what do I mean by that? You can do everything differently. It sounds weird.
Your normal self.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
So in other words,
from your normal
holiday
self.
from your normal self by doing everything differently. So if you don't go out at night because you don't go out on a Friday because you just not your thing, the way you're comfortable doing.
So you are having a perspective you're forcing yourself to have different perspective.
Yes.
Being a different person.
Being a different person.
Yeah.
Take yourself out. Go out, right? And do things you don't normally do, right?
Some discovery.
Yeah. Go out dancing, right? If you never dance, just go out dancing. Just what's it gonna hurt, right? Or like public speaking or something, right? Join Toastmasters, right? When you tend to say no, tend to say yes instead, right? Not to everything. That can be kind of crazy, but push your boundaries a little bit, right? And take that holiday from yourself and give yourself a vacation from the way you normally do things, so that you gain a different perspective and see yourself from a different view, right? Let's just stir things up. Meditate. Ask a psychic. I do, right? And it's pretty helpful to get that different perspective, right? Or you can do as in a shamanic way. You can use power plants, right? It's our belief that they're there for a reason to help people get a different perspective, right? So marijuana is one example. There's other ones. But doing it in a responsible way, right?
I do gratitude. That's a powerful one, and
of course.
And then it can be hard at the beginning when you are worried, and then you are in fear, right? You're angry or frustrated, and gratitude might be like you're far away from gratitude, but just saying it, thank you, or I'm grateful, right? You keep saying it, and then something's gonna shift, and then you might at the beginning you might have resistance saying thank you, I'm grateful, right? But it's gonna shift, and then your body is relaxing. So it's like you are saying it over and over and over, and eventually it goes to subconscious mind, and subconscious mind turn off that fear gene eventually, that kind of thing, right? And then I'm relaxed, right? That really works for me, and then that you can have different perspective just saying thank you over and over and over. Something comes down, and what if she was doing it because of that? I didn't like it, but maybe because she had a good reason doing that, kind of thing, right? You can put pieces together by doing gratitude exercise. Yeah.
Another exercise for conserving your energy, and this one, so the other one's perspective and conserving your energy here, is that you don't make a big deal out of anything, right? Just do what you can to take things in stride, and instead of thinking of something as a disaster, think of it as an event. That's just part of life. There's bumps in the road in life. It's going to happen, and you can see that. It's easy to see that as like, oh my God, I'm losing something when that bump in the road happens, or it's an opportunity, right? So, because actually in every challenge and every problem, there's always an opportunity in there somewhere. Every time. It's an art to find that opportunity and then to choose that opportunity, right? So not making a big deal out of anything, taking it in stride and finding that way of working with it and making the best out of it, right? That's the other side of things. So if this stuff is hard, if it's hard to do any of the things that we're talking about here, it's because of limiting subconscious beliefs. Guaranteed. I know that's been true for me, and I know that's been true for all of our clients, and true for you. It's when that
because
belief that we have,
5% is controlling us.
And
that's
that subconscious mind,
that part that we are not aware. Right? We're trying to do this. I'm gonna be happy, but subconscious 95% of it is holding you back. That's the world is pretty bad place right now. You cannot just be happy, and you're gonna hurt yourself, and you're gonna get tricked, and you're gonna lose all the money. Those kind of things without you being aware.
Those are beliefs that are coming. Those are subconscious beliefs that can be coming in. Absolutely. And if you want to get past those things, if you want to let go of them, just schedule a breakthrough session with us. It's completely free. Just go to our website. We'd be happy to talk with you. Right? It's a one-on-one session, and we'll talk about exactly what you're going through with you, just you. Right? So it's a special event that we do for people, you can schedule a session with Satomi to get a different perspective. So you can do that by going to our website as well and checking out our services page, and you could schedule a psychic reading or a medical intuitive reading or even a mediumship, whatever you want to do. All of those can be incredibly revealing and get that different perspective, right? And other than that, Thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you next week right here on Aether at 4 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much, you guys, for coming. Share, like, subscribe, and we'll see you then. Bless you.
Thank
Take care.
you. Bye bye.